Hi everyone and welcome to another Mixed Media Tuesday. I haven't created the canvas for a while, so that's what I'm going for today. This is a wooden canvas. You can work on the inside to get a shadow look or at the back. It really depends on the project that you are going for. I get these in a pack of 5 from Arteza and I will leave a link down below. By the way, this is 8 by 8. Today's project is going to be super easy, you can easily recreate it, and the inspiration comes from the Provence collection by Stamperia. I am quickly browsing through the 12 by 12 paper pad. This is the inspiration for today. I'm going to use this as my focal point. You can see it's a beautiful collection, perfect for spring, and the color combination is just beautiful. And Stamperia provides you with some papers that the front and the back match perfectly together, like this paper for example. This is a great paper pad for creating cards as well, and just like with every other collection by Stamperia, it makes it so hard to cut through those papers. So I would suggest to always get a couple of pads so you get 2 of each design. I'm going to pull out this paper since I want to fuzzy cut around the focal point, and the back is also beautiful, so I want to use front and back for my project. In the same collection you will find tons and tons of other products that match together, including die cuts and acetate and things like that. However, for this project I'm going to go with the 8x8 one. You can see here the difference in size of the focal point. I will use the larger focal point from the 12x12 for my project. However, in order not to waste too much paper, and since my canvas is 8x8, I'm going to go with those papers from the 8x8 pad and use those as my background. If you work on this side of the wooden canvas, the 8x8 is going to cover it up completely, so you're good to go. However, I'm going for a shadow box look, so I'm going to work on the inside of the wooden panel. That's why I need to cut it out a little bit. I'm going to measure and cut out the purple pattern paper to fit perfectly inside. I also cut out this pattern paper to be about 6x6, and I'm using an edge distresser to go all around the edges. You can do that with your scissors if you like. When I layer pattern papers one on top of the other, one of my go-to techniques is to create notches on the top layer. This way I give the opportunity to the paper which is in the background to show even more. Also, notches provide a way to tuck inside other smaller elements. So with my tweezers, I'm just turning those edges towards me, and I'm going to create one more notch on one of the other sides. These 2 layers will be the background of my project, and of course you can go with lots of mixed media techniques on those, like with stenciling, stamping, etc. I decided to leave it quite simple. You will see what I'm going to do in a bit. For now I'm just using my scissors and I will fuzzy cut around my focal point. Don't worry if you don't cut out the bunch of flowers, the lavender, too well. It's not going to show at the end. Mine isn't cut out perfect, but it's going to look just fine. Since I'm playing with pattern paper and dimension, I'm going to separate those 2 pots. This will give me the opportunity to stick them on my project in a different layer and make them look more dimensional. So let's work on the background. Although I don't want to go crazy with mixed media techniques, I do like to add something extra. That's why I'm working with acrylic paint, and with my spatula I'm just adding a little bit. I'm staying on the edges since that's what it's going to show from this pattern paper, and the color that I'm working with is the Milk White by Stamperia. This is the Allegro collection of acrylic paints. It is matte acrylic paint and it is quite liquid, so it is really easy to work with. I'm also going to do some stamping around the frame, and for that I'm going with a very small font stamp and using a pigment white ink pad. If you want this step to be more prominent, to show even more, you can go with Versamark ink and white embossing powder. I'm also going to do some stamping on top of my paper. You can definitely go ahead and do some stenciling here or use some embossing paste or modeling paste to add some dimension. I decided for today to keep it quite simple, so I'm doing only the stamping. And I used lilac for that. I tried to find an ink from my stash that matched the colors of my focal point. And although I wanted to keep this background away from being too busy, I couldn't stay away from paint, so again I'm bringing another Stamperia paint, which I diluted with water, and now I'm adding some water splashes. And here is me not knowing when to stop with all the details on the background, so here I just grabbed again the same stamp, but this time I'm going over the previous stamping with black, just to add some more interest back there, as I thought it was quite dull. And now let's put everything together. To add some dimension, you can go with foam tape. However, I decided for this project to do some recycling. That's why I'm using cardboard from the boxes that I received the products. Now I'm using white glue. Any white glue would do the trick here. This is going to add some dimension in between the layers, and for this project I'm all about dimension, since this is going to look as if it is a shadow box. Using the white glue at the back is really helpful, since you can easily slide the two pieces until you are happy with the placement. For this project I can go crazy with dimension. After all, my wooden panel is quite deep. I'm going to bring it in for you so you can see. It is 1 inch and a quarter deep. Now for the focal points I'm going to create 2 different layers. So for the smaller pot I'm going to add just 1 piece of this cardboard, while for the bigger jar I'm going with 2 of those. And of course, if you are using foam tape for that, just double up on foam tape. Now before I place everything inside the frame, I want to make sure that it has the same tint as the rest of my project. That's why I'm using the same ink, the milk white that I used on the project, all around. This is a very quick wash. It doesn't have to be perfect. As long as you tint the frame, it is going to bring everything together. And of course I do only the frame, sides and top, since everything else is not going to show. And it's time to assemble my project. I'm going to put on some music so you can see how I stick everything down, and I will catch you back for the finishing touches. And let's embellish the project even more. I did cut out this piece of lace from this pattern paper, and I will use it inside the notches. Again, for that I need some dimension, so I'm using a foam square. I'm going to place it in between the notch, and I did add a little bit of glue so that I'm able to slide it around until I'm happy with the placement. And I will repeat the exact same thing for the other notch. Use your glue on top of your foam square. It is really helpful since you can easily slide it around and it doesn't stick instantly when you place it inside that notch. And here is a step that I always do in my projects, adding highlights with my white gel pen. It is a step that I should have done before sticking all the elements down, since it is quite difficult now with all that dimension. However, I just had to do it. I always like to add a motivational quote on my projects. However, for this project I'm going with the word spring. I did use the Festive Alphabet Die set to cut out my letters. The main letter I cut it out from pattern paper, that purple one. It was included in the paper pad, so the color matches perfectly with the rest of the colors. And I did cut out 2 extra letters so that I can stick one on top of the other, 3 layers in total, and this way it's going to look as if it is a chipboard letter. Now the letters are quite sturdy since there are so many layers out of them, and you can make them even thicker if you like. And I'm going to put them together on the frame. Here is how the project is looking at the moment. You can keep on adding little bunches of flowers or leaves if you like to embellish it even more. I want to keep it quite simple, however I couldn't stay away from some branches of leaves. I just used some dies that I had in my stash to cut them out from green cardstock. I'm adding some highlights with my white gel pen. You see, I'm not doing the same mistake that I did previously of adding the highlights at the end. And then I'm going to tuck them inside those notches. I already have some green on the flower compositions and I wanted to introduce a little bit more green on the project. That's why I did that, plus it adds some extra dimension and interest coming through those notches. I hope this project inspired you to create a wooden panel, a shadow box, out of your favorite pattern paper collection. All you need to do is to use a couple of pattern papers at the background and then cut out your favorite focal point from the collection to stick it on top. Just like I did for today. If you like this type of projects of turning a pattern paper collection into a wooden canvas, into a shadow box, let me know in the comments below. I find them super fun and I can make lots of them. Here I'm adding some splashes. I did add some highlights on the letters. And I'm going to call this project done. I hope that you had fun today, that you got inspired. Links to everything I used can be found down below. Thank you all so much for watching and I'll see you all next time.